Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my May TBR video. I've been sick for a little bit, so bear with me. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit under the weather because I'm still trying to get over this cold. So for May, I have a pretty ambitious TBR that I set aside for myself. I've been doing a really good job of actually reading almost everything that I've had on my TBR every month since January, as well as like going above and beyond and reading way more than I was initially planning on reading. So that's where my like mood reading has kind of come in. One thing that I always forget to mention is that Alexa and I have like set up a challenge for ourselves where every month we pick a different genre and then we focus on that genre for the month, see how much we could read within that genre. And last month we went a little bit out of the box and we chose arcs. So last month we read a ton of arcs because we wanted to be totally caught up on what we had before we go to Book Expo at the end of May. And then now, our May choice, we are going to be focusing on fantasy. So there's a lot of fantasy in this TBR. So the first book that I'm planning on reading, which Alexa and I are actually buddy reading together, is Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. Both of us have been so excited for this book and we put it off because we had heard some people were disappointed with this one, and we both really love the first and second books. So we were worried about reading this and then not having the fourth book to kind of dive right into afterward. I'm still really worried, but I've been getting more and more excited for it. Like, we've been talking about buddy reading this for probably the past month or so, and we both just keep getting more and more excited for it. This is the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and both of us just really miss Thomas and Audrey Rose, and I can't wait to see how this book is gonna go. It takes place on a cruise ship and it involves Harry Houdini. I'm so excited. This is the first book that we're planning on reading in May. Next, I'm going to be reading Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare and Kelly Link and Maureen Johnson and Robin Wasserman and Sarah Reese Brennan. And these are all short stories set in the Shadowhunter world. A lot of them revolve around the Shadow Market, and I believe that the majority of them involve Jem, who is one of my favorite Shadowhunter characters, so I'm really excited to get to this. If you can see, I've already started it. I actually have read only the first short story so far, so I'm probably gonna end up reading about one of these a day or so. I'm just so excited to have this. I can't wait for the stories that come after the end of the Dark Artifices series because those are brand new and hadn't been previously published. I can't wait. The third book on my TBR is actually a new release, and that is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This one comes out on May 7th, and I have been eagerly anticipating this last and final book in this trilogy. I think Legendary was so phenomenal, and I can't wait to see how Stephanie is going to wrap up the series. So this is for sure one that I'm getting to, and I also want to finish it because Stephanie is actually going to be at Book Expo and BookCon at the end of May, so I want to have it finished so I can talk about it with her. The next book I'm planning on reading is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Alexa and I buddy read Mistborn: The Final Empire last month in April. I read it in 2015, so that was actually a reread for me, but diving back into the world, I just got so excited, and I feel like I have a much deeper appreciation for adult fantasy now as opposed to what I did back then. So I really am like just ready to continue, and this is a series that I really want to finish before the end of the year. So I am reading this one this month, and Elle from Elliot Brooks, she has actually been doing a Mistborn read-along. This month in May, she is reading Well of Ascension, and she's broke down the chapters and she's been posting a video like every week. It worked out that I read the Mistborn ones and then watched her videos at the end of every day because I ended up reading Mistborn in 4 days instead of 4 weeks. But I think I'm going to try to stick to her schedule for Well of Ascension and read the chapters like per week and then watch her videos at the end of every week. And that'll be exciting too because this will be a new read for me. I haven't read Well of Ascension just yet. I'm really excited to see where the story is going to go from here. Then I'm planning on reading There's Something About Sweetie by Santaya Menon. This one I'm so excited for because I read As Kismet Would Have It in April, which is the short story that comes between When Dimple Met Rishi and There's Something About Sweetie. And just from the initial impressions of Sweetie, I really liked her character, and I'm really excited to find out about her story with Rishi's brother. I think it's going to be super adorable, and Alexa and Rachel have actually both read it already, and both of them have said that this is their favorite book from Sandaya Menon, so I'm particularly excited because I really loved When Dimple Met Rishi, and then I really loved as Kismet would have it. So I feel like this is just going to be amazing. Next, this is a kind of impulsive addition to my TBR. I started listening to Obsidian on audiobook. I've never read any Jennifer L. Armentrout, so this is my first Jennifer L. Armentrout book, and I am really enjoying it. Like, it's definitely dated, but I think the audiobook is really fun. It's kind of like listening to a CW show in the background, like while I'm doing other things. I have really been enjoying it so far. I was like, I'm just gonna listen to like a couple of chapters, and then I ended up listening through chapter like 19 or something in one day. So I have very little to go before I finish Obsidian. I'm definitely gonna be finishing that in April because it's actually still April right now. But I think that I'm gonna keep going, and I'm going to pick up Onyx, which is the next book in the series, on audiobook, just so that I have something else to listen to while I'm like making breakfast in the morning or exercising or whatever it is, because it's really fun. Next, I would like to read my Star Wars book for the month, and that is going to be Catalyst by James Luceno. This is a Rogue One story. I believe it is like the prequel leading up to Rogue One, and I've gotten really excited for this one because, well, one, Andrew and I watched Rogue One again recently, and that is just one of my favorite Star Wars movies. It is so well done. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting more in depth about some of the characters in that film, but also I heard that this one kind of dives into Mon Mothma's background, and Mon Mothma is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, so I'm really, really looking forward to that aspect of this. I would also like to read Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Negan. I have been really looking forward to reading this one. I don't know, I haven't gotten to it yet. It's a young adult fantasy that came out last year. A couple of my friends have really enjoyed it, and they think that I would enjoy it too, and this is the really pretty owl crate cover, which I love, but I really want to read it before Book Expo. Then another adult fantasy that I have on my list is Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. I'm really struggling with this name, but this is the second book in the Witcher series. It's the second short story collection that you read before you jump into Blood of the Elves, which is labeled book 1, but is actually book 3. This one is actually short stories in chronological order, whereas The Last Wish, those stories were not in order necessarily. So I'm looking forward to getting to know The Witcher more. I've heard a lot of people say that they actually prefer this book to the first one, but I really loved The Last Wish, so I'm very much looking forward to reading this one, and I'm expecting that I'll love it even more if this seems to be one that people like better. Then on my library list, I have Dark Lover by J.R. Ward on hold, and I'm really hoping that it will come off of hold within the month of May, and I really want to read it. I think it's like a new adult paranormal romance series about vampires, and a lot of people really love it. I think there's like 17 books or something by now. I don't know how I never got into it, but I really want to start it and see how I feel about it, and potentially read all of them if I like it. I also really want to read Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, and this is a Tor.com novella that is being published in June. It's about a guy who lives deep within the woods. He lives deep within the woods in a place called Green Hollow Hall. Green Hollow gets a new owner, and then he's forced to confront like the darkness that lies within the forest, and there's dryads, and it just sounds like it's going to be really good. I also want to read The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss, because this is the only Patrick Rothfuss book that I've never read. I don't know how I've gone this long without reading it, because as you guys probably know, Name of the Wind is like my favorite book in the entire world. So I really have no idea how I haven't read this yet, and I need to change that. This one follows Ori, and it's really short. It's like a novella, so very different than his other books. But yeah, I need to read this. And then lastly, me, Alexa, Rachel, and DJ kind of took a hiatus with our paranormal book club because we all had so much that was on our TBRs, and we didn't have the time to like pick books, but we're resuming this month, and we're going to be reading Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. This is one that I never read before. I obviously love Maggie's Raven Cycle series very much, so I'm curious about her other writing as well, but I'm also super nervous because I don't like werewolves. So I just don't know how I'm going to feel about this one, but I'm going to give it a shot, going to see how I feel about it. I really hope that I end up loving it. We'll see. I'm very apprehensive. So those are like the million books that I have on my TBR this month. I actually have even more that I'm hopefully planning on reading, but these are the ones that I really want to get to before the end of the month. We'll see how I do. I really hope that I read everything. Let me know if you've read anything that I've mentioned, and let me know like what is your number one top priority book for May that you're planning on reading this month. That's all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!